A Toronto police officer and many of the city's first responders are now being hailed as heroes for their handling of the week's deadly van attack, which left 10 people dead and 14 others injured. President of the Toronto Police Association, Mark McCormack, is calling the incident unprecedented, saying he has never seen anything like it in his 30-plus years on the job and that will change the city of Toronto forever. To talk more about first responders and the realities they face, I'm joined in studio by John Anderson. John is the supervisor of peer support and PTSD prevention at York Regional Paramedic Services. Thank you, John, for being here today.
Thank you.
So, Toronto Medics tweeted on Monday, "We are very proud of the outstanding care and response provided by our paramedics and emergency medical dispatchers today." Now, this was a situation where first responders arrived on the scene, but they didn't necessarily know what they were getting into. They didn't know any of the lay of the land, the number of victims. They just had to rush towards where they were told to go. How does somebody deal with something like that?
The main part of dealing with that is basically the training that we've had over the years and the continuous training, just the training and how to respond to emergencies. So it's a good idea that they train frequently, they train constantly. We've had several training sessions with Toronto recently in regards to the TTC opening up in the York region. And they also provide, there's additional training, there's more mental health training available now. So we're available. Most first responders that were at the scene, I hope, would have been able to take a course called Road to Mental Readiness. And it helps people to deal with a traumatic event or a critical incident like this and the after effects.
Now, you're also part of Temacontra Memorial Trust, which helps first responders deal with the effects of traumatic events. Because something like this, no matter how much training one has, I have to assume that being put in that real-life situation for the first time is unlike any training. And I'm guessing that that aftercare is vital after a situation like this.
Well, it's vital because everybody's traumatic event is their own traumatic event. It's how they deal with it, how they process it. So there's a lot of generalities they can use, but everybody's individual. And that's what's key, is that it has to be treated as an individual event for that person and what they need for them at that time. Temacontra Memorial Trust does offer some training in it. They offer several courses. They offer the Road to Mental Readiness, as I spoke of, also a manners training course, a psychological first aid course, which helps the person to prepare. Part of the training, though, is the repetitive motion and the continuous training and being exposed to events such as this, so that the sort of build brain memory, you could say, or muscle memory type thing for your brain, and it helps you to somewhat go on autopilot, but it's not really autopilot. It's just they're preparing for the what ifs.
Yeah.
They're going through the what ifs so that when something happens, they can change it into a what if to a what now, and then they proceed. And it creates a very seamless appearing care plan, you could say.
You know, you're talking about all this preparation and this training and these resources for those who are in the field. But for those watching at home, for people like myself, we don't go through that training. What would you say to people like me who might one day come into contact with one of these first responders? You know, we're naturally curious people. We want to know, but we also appreciate that there is an element of care there. How should we approach a situation if we ever come into contact with a first responder?
I think one of the key things to do is pretty much just say, "Hi, how are you doing?" And leave it at that, because you don't need to get involved in all of the traumatic events or understand or try and even listen to what we've seen in our lives. It's not possible, and it's vicarious trauma. There's actually a term called sliming, which is where I tell a story about what happened, and now you take on all of those emotions and the effects of that. So it's, in a way, I'm traumatizing you, and that's really not appropriate. So the best thing to do is just, "Hi, how are you doing?" Be there support. That's the key thing. You'll notice some different behaviors in the person when you do. Ask them about it. Ask them how they're feeling. Ask them if you can help.
Well, we certainly appreciate all the work that was done on behalf of the people of this city, and we appreciate all the work that you do in support of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.